which is done using Resharper, and if you put it through code review tools like FXCop or any other tools, you'll be able to get many errors, or you may not be able to have anything to see in code. So the kind of benefit that one would get in terms of product management. Not only that, understanding, because writing lengthy code, it simplifies the understanding, and refactoring of the existing code would also become very, very easy. Also, it gives you a lot of confidence in change, provided if you write test cases by using the Resharper standard capabilities against each and every function of your code. And to business, it seems that the research shows the developer effort on reworking the code, that is eliminating the bugs and making changes, they just about 80% of the development cost and time. So they are targeting that area using Resharper, so you would be able to bring more, and then you can also utilize the resources very efficiently, because is new to the particular language and a little new to the domain. Maybe the developer, it doesn't have much experience, so but it would be easy because supported by this tool. And then we'll get into the features. These are basically areas that I am going to take you through. Some of them are very interesting, relevant to the work that you are doing. First one is navigation and search, and those of you who are very much familiar with Visual Studio, you might be using some of the navigation and search capabilities, but it has got amazing capabilities, and would appreciate the navigation and search capabilities provided if you happen to work on a code very huge and spread across hundreds of thousands of lines of code, and certainly appreciate this if you are in maintenance phase and need to traverse various files and understand the hierarchies of various classes, base classes, all that stuff. And so I'll be defining you code cleanup and we refactorings. So these are the key feature of Resharper. It helps you in refactoring the code. Most importantly, it assists you while writing the code. That's the beauty of it. It acts as an observer. It keeps working with you, pair program along with you while you are writing the code. The code generation. So there are ways using which you can quickly get the code. So I'm sure you would find refactoring quite interesting, and coding assistance interesting, and code generation is very interesting. Of course, take one example of one of the tech interface, and then try and write a code template and the testing capabilities. So these are various things that I'm going to show you. And if you are new to this tool, you go to jetbrains.com and you can go to down page and you can download. Get a 30 days free trial. While you are here, so you also go to the docs page. Okay, so you could download these two key maps. There are two key schemes, so that they are the keyboard shortcuts. One is Visual Studio scheme, other one is Edge scheme. So it may be interesting you to know that the by Resharper, which is called IntelliJ IDE, is best Java development IDE till date. So very popular. If they get into that, probably Microsoft have been bought this company by one, then integrated this part of Visual Studio itself. But I Googled, browsed through some pages, I realized that there were such attempts and take Microsoft further and extend this product still remained as an independent, and Microsoft, because of the popularity of this product, Microsoft has to literally cooperate with these guys and then make it more powerful, and it seems getting more business for Visual Studio because of the additional capabilities that is getting to reach. In video, Microsoft is not investing any further to bring the capabilities of Resharper back into Visual Studio. I'm not sure that's quite surprising to know. This key map, there are two key maps as I mentioned. One is Visual Studio scheme and the other one is IDE scheme. So this is Visual Studio scheme, and here they have divided various capabilities uh, of Resharper into three different segments: create, explore, and improve. And then you could see various shortcuts. Okay, so now the need is what you need to do is you got to down off those if you are if you decide Resharper and understand Resharper. It's easy to learn it in it has over a period of time. You have already seen how many shortcuts are there and how many what functionalities are there. So it's good for anybody to remember just the need that drives us towards the respective functionality, and the more we explore, the more we interact with people learn it. So these are the learning tips we download, and what we do is we keep our keyboard because an invaluable resource, and keep going back time and again as we learn more and more of it. And we focus, don't try to learn all the commands, just focus on only few commands at a time because it's overwhelming with number of keyboard shortcuts, and so don't learn everything at once. I suggest you go for few shortcuts at a time based on your need, based on whatever work that you're currently doing. So the other thing is, don't be afraid to try shortcut. Look at the key map, pick up one you haven't used it before, and do it every few days or every week. You gradually pick up and learn more and more shortcuts. Keep your keyboard. Avoid using mouse because this is a good way to get faster and faster with Resharper and Visual Studio, which I'm very poor with, and I keep going back to mouse. But yeah, watch the person using Resharper, and it's much more fun to learn with friends and teammates. So if you think you can go through the map, understand the features, and do it in 10 times a week, and then Resharper, which is not. And in our case, in our team, we have this tool for maybe since 2008. I can hardly say we know 20% of or 20% of the functionality, 30% of the functionality. The need for it. So what we needed, we explored that area and we learned, and able to remember shortcuts also. Okay, let's look at the cow browsing capabilities. So to open my solution, we look at navigational aids provided by Resharper. And Hibernate code here. So look at, this is an open source. I downloaded from net for this presentation. It is an Hibernate code. You could see Visual Studio. Can somebody you are able to see Visual Studio? I think I've done PPT, I guess. Prasad?
Yeah, Visual Studio.
Okay, thank you. Sure. Okay, so now let's look at this. So that if you look at, if you install Resharper, you will get Resharper here. And now we are going to look at the navigate as well as the navigate and find commands. So if I wanted to maybe open a file, so what is, I go for Control Shift and N. I don't get this. You see, there are hundreds of files. So to go back and navigate. So simple shortcut is, if you ask it's equal in Visual Studio short, maybe I may not be able to answer that question, and I may even not be able to answer exactly whether similar functionality is available in DOS, just because we are using it since years. So I'll look at that side of the story. Now, if you look, so I just typed Control Shift N. So I need ISN implementer. Get to that, but I don't want to type all that, so I all capital letters and type okay. I can type all are working, all small letters are not working. So if you select name, just keep to go to that file very easily. Once I go to the file, so I would be able to navigate to many things. Let me go back to some. Let me go to class. Okay, so I'm an array holder. The command one can use is Control Shift G. So that is you and where between, so based on the fact whether you selected as or you selected a method or you selected a variable. So with that, you would be able to see with, differences in this. So you have to see, for example, if I clear G, Shift G, so I'll be able to go back to its implementation. So these are implementing many types or implementing that particular abstract class. Okay, and if I go back here and say Control Shift G, I'll be able to see the of this symbol. You see what? Who that particular type. So I can group by structure, I can namespace, I can directory and file. So there are various things that one can do. So I directly go back. So what happens is many a times when you make a change to a particular type, you want to ensure that whether there are things because of the change that we have made. So if you happen to make a change in a type which is spread across of files, and don't know any files are using that type, it's the best way to do it. So I go back, I will say Control Shift G, I go to find this. So the same thing, now I got it in a separate window, go back and say Control Shift G, I can always use it. You don't, so you can do, so it's various ways of doing this same thing. So symbols, I can find a symbol related file. It is related file. So here, which means this class contains the definition of abstract persistent collection. Some cases, so you will have inheritance. You will have multiple levels of inheritance. You may have an abstract base class, and that is other class is inheriting that, and maybe also in implementing other interface. So in such cases, suppose if you get to see multiple interfaces here or abstract classes, so you can go back and you can simply say Control G, and when you related files, it gives you the list of all the files. You can directly go back to those files. Okay, for example, to see extension. I'm sure most of you know the extension methods, and there is some standard protocols that we need to follow, and it's some extension that, for example, if you have a G record set, you don't have G record set source code with you. We are this team. You can write G record set dot my method source code. How do you write it? There are certain protocols using which you can some extension methods. So once you write those extension methods, and extensions method might be spread across multiple files. But go back here and say extension method. For example, you can overwrite string. Okay, an extension method. So you can do various things by adding some extension methods. So if you want to identify all those extension methods that have been implemented on this type through code base, so you can directly go from here. Some of the functionalities that we can see. For example, I wanted to go to a particular type. So you know that there is a type for maybe cascades. Okay, so you know that there is a type, but you don't know where is it. So Control N. So just say what it directly goes. Now I'm sure type. I directly go to it. For example, now typing Control Shift N, which means finding a file. So I say Apple.cs. I know I can go there. Okay, what is on? I can switch between different modes. I can say Control N. So that's it. Or I can say Control Shift N. That's a file. And example, the best use would be, so I'll say Control Shift N app.config. You will have multiple app.config files in your solution. So anyone. So back to that app.config. It's very easy. So you don't feel the power when you are writing a small project, small solution with one project with files. You don't probably don't feel need of the navigation and search capabilities of Resharper. Maybe others might be usable, but certainly not the navigation and search capabilities. Mm, Okay, if you say, for example, now did you see all some of these files now? Explaining using these files. So recent files. So I have to go back here, find out recent files. So I can say, or else I don't need. I might have closed it. I might have opened it or closed it. But simply I can go to say Control E. I can go back and I can find out the recent files. Okay. Um, those are some of the capabilities. And next, go to see for example, let's go here. Okay, you are in huge. Sometimes what happens. I've seen files with 1,000 lines of code, 7 lines of code. So in such class or such files, so you can go to say alt up down. So keep going to now I'm going to various others instead of using my mouse wheel or instead of going doing holes and then moving up and I can simply click this and I can say alt up down. Okay, example, let's say inside a method and you want to go back to the training declaration, for example. So section. So now control bracket. It takes you the training method again. Control. What happens is sometimes when you're in a huge files and you don't know what is it. You wanted to navigate through its hierarchy very quickly. And these are some of the things using which you would be able to reach to the top of the file. Okay, for example, you can go to implementation. Same can be done using Control Shift B. So I can the implementations are there. I can go back to the implementation. Or for example, if it has got any base file, I can simply say Control B. So it is has got anything. It doesn't have any base file, so it doesn't. It can go any further. And the beautiful thing here is I can say Control Alt H. I can say Control. See this complete type hierarchy of the file. This particular file in which I'm currently the one which I currently open. So you can see you are there. Okay. The implementation, you can go to the derived classes quickly. You can go to the base classes. You can in the hierarchy. Okay. And, you can go to types also. Yeah, you can go to Control Shift T. It doesn't have. Doesn't have one. Yeah. Go to the type of symbol. Usable somewhere in the base, and we are not even close to the definition. So to go back there, there are many ways. This is one such way of doing it. Okay, and you can take, for example, this and take open, which would give you pages of that file. That's what I hear. So it will give you pages of that type, or it can be method, it can be variable, it can be variable, method, or a property. So you can see one of them and you can quickly go back and navigate. And for example, you can take maybe and can say Shift F7. Everything has been highlighted, and then back. So I can say Alt down. It's showing me this. You may get not so interesting, but if you feel the need for it, then you will realize how important role they play. You can keep going through and then when you make some key, minor code modifications, and if you have its impact felt everywhere, and you want sure that you changed everything properly. So these are some of the techniques mm, mm, that handy for you. Okay, and what you can also do is you can mark. So for example, it's different from Visual Studio bookmarks. So I can maybe something here, and I will say Control Shift 0. It's not happening. Something wrong. Say Control Shift F7 and one more. I'll say Control Shift F7. So a small number here. Let me. So what you keep pressing Control Shift 0 to 9, it will let the books. Let me put some more. Maybe I go to there and put Control Shift 6. So it's 6, and go to another file and keep one more and 3. Okay, now all the bookmarks that I wanted. So now I can simply keep switching between them. I can simply say Control 7. It goes back to Control 7. Okay, I did not give 4. Okay, so maybe I will say Control 9. So that and also the another one, maybe Control. I forgot. Maybe Control this 4 command, which just gives you a pop-up dialog like this with all the other control. But when you press that control, it just dialog like this will appear, and it shows all the bookmarks, and you will be able to set bookmarks and navigate between them very quickly and use them effectively. And it will be across multiple and you need to you can file and open up the bookmark and just click on it, and then you go back to the respective bookmark. Okay, this the other is so if you have a very deep understanding of your code, you get to see all incoming calls and all the outgoing calls. That's interesting. Let me pick up something. Maybe take this and say Control Alt Shift A. For each of them, you would be able to find equivalent item. I'm trying to do it using the shortcuts. You will be able to do it from here, or you will be able to do it from one of these commands. So now I did this. What I'm to tell you is how to inspect your code. You get to understand all incoming calls and all the outgoing calls, incoming calls on the method, and all outgoing calls that are happening from this method. I will just say Control Alt Shift A. All the maybe incoming calls. So I would see calling this method, and what if I will having in case if I happen to change any parameter, those. I'm sure you will find this very interesting. So this can very quickly it saves a lot of time, and then finally, if you think that you made the required modifications in all those cases, there are certain ways using which you can recheck it. Maybe you can write a unit test case and then recheck that. There you will have a lot of confidence on the change that you are making. And I'll take this and I say Control Alt Shift A, and the outgoing calls means within this method, the calls that are going out of this method to other types or various other those kind of things. So able to and we have a look at that. And then now there's something called. So let me go back to the presentation. So these are share this presentation with you. I was showing you code browsing technique. Basically, these are the search techniques, like how we go to a particular type in a huge code base. How do we file? How do we see recent files? How related files is quite interesting. Sometimes if we not follow the convention that the name and the file name are same, or the name and the file name are same, or the name and the file name are same. In that case, it would be easy. Otherwise, then it's difficult to find the related file. But this one would come quite handy, and you can pick the hierarchy irrespective of the number of interfaces that it is implemented, number of base classes, abstract classes that it is extended from. So you'll be able to quickly navigate to that. How do we quickly go up and down? So you can say Alt up and down, and then keep moving through with methods, and then you can go to a particular file member. So it gives the structure of the properties, variables, methods in a collapsed format in a separate window, and you would be able to quickly click and go back to it. You will only find it useful when code 1,600 of code. Now, right now, our team is working on this project with Intergraph, and I'm sure of the there are more than 1,000 lines of code. Getting into whether it is a good practice or practice, but certainly helpful. And they gave. We are working on our survey project for each of the developer. They purchased and given Resharper license for us, and I connect them. Now, even this project also, I could able to get one license for each developer from Intergraph, and we have been using it, and it's very useful. Okay, yeah, I mentioned this to you. Then there are some of the other techniques, like you to the derived class, how to go to implementation. You will find it in Visual Studio, but the interesting thing is with hierarchy, which you will not find it in Visual Studio. If you say select type, then you would be able to see all the entire hierarchy, how the type has been built, what is it, what dependency down the hierarchy, up the hierarchy. You will be able to see all that. And this is how to the declaration, which is available in Visual Studio, and you will also go to the type symbol, which is in Visual Studio, and pages. This is very interesting. This and apart from Control Shift N and Control N, members use this Alt find usages. We don't use the shortcut Alt F7, but we right click and say find usages. And that gives us the complete list of which particular method or the variable or the type being used, and thereby it makes our once we figure that, and we will say Control Shift 7, everything highlighted, and until we clear it, everything is highlighted, and we will be able to. And we also there is another command using which you can all those files open. There's an option when you click on it, all the qualified things will get open. So you're working on file after the other, one file after the other, until you are sure that you made the required modification in each of those files. Yeah, bookmarks I did mention. I'm not getting into that. Yeah, this is what the command that I'm mentioning. Control this. I don't know what is it called. Okay, go to symbol. Yeah, this is very interesting. Yeah, I of it. So let me. This is which we use quite frequently. So this, and yeah. Okay, so use this go to symbol. Okay, so you remember that there is a type. It could be a field number, method or field or method name or type name. You don't exactly remember, but some that exists. Maybe, for example, okay, let me control Alt A. Go back. That says, I think, Control Alt Shift A is incoming and outgoing calls. Okay, I don't mean to talk about. I wanted to talk about there's one command which would, if you know the field name or the type name or anything, you can just press the rest, and then it will take you to. Remember, let me. Yeah, select. I'll tell you, but there is that's one thing which we often use. Let me figure out. Okay, so when I could find, I would let you know. So take another. Uh, I will. How do we do the cleanup? How do we do code cleanup? So now I can. I download a solution from Net. It gave me one. So this gave me. It can be on any one of them. So let's take this. So on side you see a bar here. So you will be able to see the moment you open Visual Studio for the first time, Visual Studio with a Resharper, and if you open any solution for the first time, you would be able to see you will be able to see the indicators here. So if everything is good, then it would show you a green indicator, and if it is warning, it will show you a warning message. There are errors, it shows you red. For example, I will put now tried. Um, you see, you cannot wide field. So immediately, can you see it here? Immediately, he did that from one red. And back here, it actually tells me that this expected token. Now I opened this file. So how I can turn this into green? Now if I happen to use any of the other um, okay here, can you see this? I just typed it, but it would make sense that nobody is using it. It's used. Don't keep it there. Don't use this your file. It is not require you. This is a dead code. Then remove it. So I go here and say Alt Enter. Sorry, so Alt Enter. Or you can see small bulb there. It keeps bulb, and if you click on that bulb, you will be able to mm, mm, remove undirected files. Let's go here and watching. Can you see this? An empty the compiler generates the theme by default. So get rid of this. It's a one turn it as red. Okay, maybe go show some type called a string, and he marked it as null. Okay, so maybe since .NET type, would have I would have assigned it a default value. Let me say this, and then go for implicit casting. Don't go for that. Don't go for that. Okay, that you see that you have to rename it to some class. The naming, who would write this? Go back to Resharper here. Let me first message, and then I will take you. So it is telling you that it does not match rule local variables. Suggest string class. So what happens is each company will be some coding standards defined. So based on that, so this using this we would be able to I and applications. What kind of casing are we following? Camel casing, upper camel casing, lower camel casing. So be able to find. We should be here. Maybe go to where do we have C and go to local variable. Okay. So if you don't can change this, you can as an organization or as a team, we can decide on our coding standards, and we can decide what we are going to follow, and we can export all these options that we are configuring in this tool, and that can be distributed to each and every team member, and he would just import it and start working. And so after combining all the individual developer modules, we will be able to see consistency across all the the developed by all the developers. Okay, so now this is you do it. I was talking about the keyboard schema. So as in there are two schemes, keyboard schemes provided by Resharper. One is Visual Studio, and the other one is IntelliJ IDE. So using IntelliJ IDE and Microsoft Resharper has taken proper care. In case you choose to use Visual Studio key scheme, it will not override any of the existing Visual Studio shortcuts. That is guaranteed. Okay. Another thing is, for example, you see, if I write new method, so I will write public string, okay, and I this, it gives me this. I type and this is coming. See here, this guy is telling me that add statement, it adds statement as well. For example, if I wanted to add a new class, probably I can show it here. To go back to my okay. Let me try and figure out where it is. So let me project. Okay, adding console application, and then I will class. This is added. Visual Studio by default added all these. I'm not using it, so they are dead. They are not required for me. I can them, and then if I check, so if I can say alt insert. Okay, so what I will do is I change it as employee class, so I can come here. I can change this. If I change, show you how things would get cascaded. So employee, so and I will say prop, okay, string, okay, name, and prop, okay, and just int, so ID. Okay, click employee and set insert. It tells right you a constructor. Do I constructor or do I want a constructor which would take a name and ID? Name, yes, I want that. It's writing right. Then I can say equality members. Yes, I want Resharper to generate equality members per name and ID. So it what code that one has to write on his own in order to implement. So see, what doing is for this we generated which would do equals, which would if you give any another employee instance and this existing employee instance and ask whether you both are equal or not, what is required to code one needs to write. Everything has been implemented by default. And if I go to this and if I want maybe override, this employee class is not having any inheritance, maybe I can override two strings. Type is by default extended from system.object, and string is a property of system.object. I can simply write. So it is writing code. It's very easy once you know the power of it. it does work for you. And even if you don't know that one can do like this, you don't know that somebody can print and equals this when you are the quick fix with that you me to prepare generate an equals implementation survey. So it keeps remember about what's needed. Okay, so it I would conclude this particular part of the presentation, that is code cleaning, by tell you that you should keep doing it until you get green. Yeah. So you see what this is a redundant qualifier. Now you see. So we lost many years. What our team has developed variable when we not having tight coupling with some components, we always ensure that we get green in each and every code that we are implementing. And then once if I build this, put it to some FX cop code or something, then nothing. There will not be any issue. Okay, let me show you another 15 minutes I will take, and let me show you some more refactoring techniques. So now you look at this. So you this will be interesting. So you have a cat class, you have a dog class, and your ID and name, okay, and name in both types. You have speak method. You also have a speak method here. But whereas per method, it has fetch method. So these are different. So what I can do is, and also if you look at the main program, so they created a new cat, okay, and this generally written it on my own. I would have written cat equals to new cat dot equals to 1, cat dot name equals to floppy. The more write it, it tells you to use object in slicer. So it just puts the code like this. So Resharper did that. And if I Resharper to further clean it up, it says you go for var. Doing it right now. So what I'm trying to show you is so I go to cat here, and we'll do is so I can recode. So refactoring the code, I will say Control Shift R. I can do these many things. So now what I'm doing is I can extract a super class. Okay, so animal ID and name take, which is common to both of them. I'll take speak. I will also override that. The next, it has created an animal, and also if you see here, the now it is extracted from animal, and it is overriding speak to dog here. I can simply say the more you do that, it is going to use that you are hiding. These properties are hiding class implementation. So what we can do is we can simply go and delete these two and be overridden because it is part of base class implementation. Okay. So the thing is, so if I come to animals and I say Shift R, I can say use wherever possible. If you see the program that is the static void main, there you will find cat. Now the I say use base type wherever possible, it just so we don't have. So I go to Control R and say use wherever possible. So it uses and now you see. So this is what you do when you are writing code in a loosely coupled mode. You always program to an interface or the base class, not to the direct class. So you can do this. You can implement it. This, for example, you wanted to act an interface out of this. You can further go down. You can say Control Shift R. I say extract interface. So I can call it as a entity on these two parameters, and I will think before because there are many examples prepared, but I'm running lack of time. if you are, I can show you anytime. But one thing that I want to show you is templates. See now templates. What I can do is what I do here is I now I what I went to okay, where is okay template you see this here. So what I did was I copied from Smart project. I copied one additional interface. What I did working on Smart project, I ensured that the green, the Resharper indicator is green, and I followed proper design guidelines and ensured that everything is proper. Now, here, I just changed here, and then this is the basic code actually. Nothing was there. But were there. Okay, for them, problems would be there, and everybody would be there for each of them. So now what I will do is simply once I do this, I can add. You can also add, file space. If you know you are working with such things again, and also in that now Prasad says that now all the developers of our team, whenever we are writing code, we may we put proper I don't know the exact word for it. You have to write on the top version information, the other information, the project information, and some detail. Each project will have its own guidelines. So all those guidelines are there. Everybody need not bother about remembering all those. Simply, I can move down and I can put those names also. Whereas with other name, I will just replace that with some name like ampersand other name ampersand. So it will when you do it. Now what happens is as a result, if I go to any class and say add new from 10 functional by the name as functional interface, so I can give any functional list. Okay, that's it. So to change everything else is in place for you. You don't need anything else. And I guess benefit that as a group, what we got, and I'm sure it is applicable for GTech as well. What we do is whenever we are working on any working COM components, I ensure that I will add one project like in this case now what I did was, if you see here, I add one project and all the possible references. Most of you might have found it difficult when you are working on when you are code GTech in C#, which how to reference it, where exactly the reference is coming from, which I need to reference, what path, all those problems you will have. So that's why what we do is we take a dummy project, we have all the references wherever we find interrupt or whatever, and then now I can take any file, I can go for the project, but right now I'm doing it in the same project. I can simply go there and say Alt Enter. It gives me it is coming from. You need to worry about. You don't need to add it to that project. Simply you select what you need, along reference everything gets added to the project. Don't you think it saves a lot of your time? I believe that's what experienced myself. Okay, let me go back to the presentation and conclude it. So you can do quick and hide it. You can move on. This is very interesting. You see, for example, you are in a maybe this is interesting for you. So you take this, and what is the it's Control Shift up or down. So you take this Control Alt Shift. Can you see this? I can get if you are built and you have to relocate it, manually cut it and then paste it, and there are it's more likely that we might miss out something. Maybe you might miss out copying the the code summary remarks which are there on the top of like here. Okay, so in case what happens is you can keep everything's moving. Okay, so you things you can do code up. Yeah, maybe this other interesting thing. So take any file, say something. I'm new to Resharper, but I want to clean my code. Right click it and say clean code, clean up code. Anything for you. Range removes the disqualifier, it removes the redundant code, unused code, and wherever you wrote properties, but in the set of that property you're not writing any code. So it just removes it and removes the backing private field, it removes the other syntax that you have written for the property. It simply makes it as an auto property, like the property, return name of the property, gets that. That's it in one line. And then where suppose you wrote some methods which are completely dependent, you are not using anything which is guide coupling or dependency with any of the types that are there in that project. So it completely made static. It goes and makes it as a static method, right? Where and then it up the file optimizing directives like removing the using directives, and then on the top you might have written using system.data here in the code file you wrote system.data.data or something. So it removes system.data in the code because you already brought that into scope by writing using the system.data. So it does all these. So now what you can do is you can create your own profile. We can create one profile for GTech team, and then that can be exported and part of our options. It can be exported and given to all the others. So no matter, you will never be able to know whether code is written by Vijay or code is written by Nagreddy or somebody else, unless you see the other name, because everybody follows the same standard, you have the same syntax, the naming convention is same, and there are no mistakes in it. That it would write the logic. I'm not saying that the ultimate efficiently writing the code is in our hands. When it comes to lines and some of the standard language features and enhancing some of the code that you have already written, like if else code, it might change it to a conditional operator, and those kind of things can be done by Resharper. So you can file and spread it across to multiple team members, and they can simply select it and say clean it. For example, you don't want to replace the type war. You want explicit, you want implicit typecasting. You simply like that, and then you will view profile and you will say no, don't change. Don't give me a warning message. So those can be okay. And this extracting class, extracting super base class. Another beautiful thing is let us multiple nested hierarchy. You have animal class, you have animal, identity, you have animal, you have cat. Now I add a new drink in cat dog. Using one command, you can keep moving that drink method up entity. Doesn't matter whether they're in same class or different classes. Let me repeat it again. You will appreciate the beauty of it. There is a interface, the animal abstract base class extending the entity interface. There is a class which is derived from animal, which is the dog, which is derived from animal. Now what you do is dog, you wrote drink method, but is it that every animal drinks it? So you don't want it in dog, or you don't want it in cat. You want it. You don't even want it in animal. You want it in interface like name and ID. You put the ID. But the different, you have code for animal in one class, you have code for identity in another class, you have code for dog in one, cat in one. But you know what? You can select drink. You can simply, I think this is exactly remember. But what you can do, you can keep no man same file or different files. You can keep it back to identity, or you want to leave it. It just simply moves beautifully without errors. You can move it. Okay, copy a type. This is the beauty of it. You write a class, you manage a class. You can do, you can select an employee class. Let us say employee class is cloning, employee class has equal methods, employee class has multiple constructors, employee class has some override methods. Click on that. Simply say Control Shift R and say copy type. Give name. It exactly copies the same code to another file. This is employee with maybe manager or maybe whatever type that you do. It just manages it. You are familiar with patterns, design patterns, know how to work with factory pattern. Generally, do there is you are doing too much object creation. You would delegate that to a separate factory method, which would the would take care of the object creation for you. Simply as give name and say right just empty class, say public that class and factory, and go back, say shift R and tell you want to move the constructor to factory method. You want to move the clone to factory method. It moves generation and everything, which means if I have to put it in a simple word, factory pattern creation is automated in Resharper. And if you are anonymous name types in C#, you can create anonymous types. That there is concrete method exists, but you can write as a line code. You can write anonymous type. So now what this would do is this would you can, if you have anonymous type, you can just simply call it and say create class. It creates a type for it. Okay, so you move the content to another file, and if you multiple classes in one file, if you want to move to one file to another file, if you want to move from one folder to another folder, you may say what deal in moving it from one folder to another folder. When you move it from one folder to other folder, the namespaces would change. So it will take everything. You can use the files. You can right click on a folder and simply say just refactor the code, and it on the code it would correct all the namespaces and everything. And you want one type to watch to another namespace. That push up you can do that. So I explained all these, and even though I didn't have time to do how you would create a live template and how you would use it, but I believe you got a feel of it. Okay, so you any questions, I'm happy to answer. And yeah, if you do questions, back to Prasad probably if he's still there.
Sure.
Yes.
Level error handling, like that we have a small bulb in the right down corner.
Yeah. So right. So you have it here. You will have it here.
To say something about unit testing.
Yeah, it's basic time actually. It's 5:15. If anybody wanted to, Prasad, you still there? Not there.
No, I'm there.
I thought you may be some call off. Do you know the power of unit testing using this, or it's okay?
5-10 minutes, probably we can wrap it up with that.
Okay. So, yeah, another beautiful thing about this is unit testing. So you can unit test, and in projects where we succeeded, somebody else have written unit test cases. So it was easy for us to maintain it because requirements, some unit test cases have already been written, and we for sure that when we make our code modifications and run those unit test cases, we know whether we have violated any of the existing requirements. Any of the existing requirements have been broken, can be seen. What we can do, this running unit tests, Resharper support running unit tests, anything built on the top of one unit framework. So I can simply go here and so I can run unit tests. So running the unit test cases, and what I can also do is I can debug each unit test case. If some unit test case fails, I go back here. I can say debug. So I need to I need to go back to the case and I put a break there for us to understand the failure or the root cause of failure. So debug, I can go start, I don't know. Source, okay, open it from some UI. That's why it was it's not in it from that machine, but oh, it came. So I'm bugging like this, and so this is uh, test case using a Microsoft Visual Studio unit testing framework, unit framework. But whether you implement unit test cases with the help of Visual Studio framework or any unit framework, you would be able to debug them. The beauty is to share an example when we are working on interview paper. So we used to have more than 1,000 for solution or so, maybe for core solution around 1,000 unit test cases for feed 700, something like that. I don't exactly remember. So what happens is, the dependency. You ask me, why need to run each and every test case? Okay, so the answer is in latest Resharper. The latest Resharper gives you latest Resharper gives you like this. So if you look at it, you can get the dependency diagram of the architecture dependency diagram. It tells you the dependency between various projects. So the thicker line, the more dependency. The dot and the light dots, there is no dependency between two projects. Simply references have been made. So you can get off those references. So you can see that, and on that you can decide. So if I have to my solution, I can choose whether I need a particular project. So I can now segregate it by project. I can run only by project. I can by solution. I can run it by solution, or I can run it by type as well. So those are different options using which you can run unit test cases, and it gives a lot of confidence. Unfortunately, part of this team, we will never be having the for time or customer to do these kind of things, but they will be quite high, and they will make the person who is maintaining the source code very easy, and that's what has happened in our case. So most of this that was attributed to some of our in some of our earlier projects is entirely should entirely be given to the unit cases that were built. And so generally what we do is when we make some fix, we identify the dependency projects they are available in this solution. Some other solution might be referencing these. So we have a dependency chart, and then we go back and run unit test cases for them. Then we are very sure that even when we commit this code, nothing is going to break on the build server. Okay, so with this probably, yeah, maybe we would stop here. And unless you have any questions, maybe I would.
Thanks for your time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That question? Guys, because this will be rushing to building to celebrate. So, no questions will be in this session with this.
I forgot to something it.
Yeah, I'm recording.
Very much. You have shared the recording with me, even if later.
Please reminded it.
Thank you. Bye.